Hello, 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 you guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Dear Black Woman podcast, where we hold space for conversations that inspire, challenge, and empower Black women globally. I am your co-host, Cammie Red, joined by my other co-hosts today, Lauren Edwards and Tenisha Mercer. Today, we're talking about activism and advocacy in the Black community, how we show up, how we fight for justice, and how we turn our passion into meaningful action. Black women have always been on the front lines of change, but what does activism look like in 2025? And how do we sustain our advocacy while taking care of ourselves? Whether you're new to activism or a seasoned advocate, this episode is for you. And without further ado, let's get started. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
I'm representing today.
listen, Lauren, say it loud.
The whole mask on and stuff, like
I know, right? I'm like, yeah, say it loud.
You got the hair. I've got the black on. Come on, Tenisha. What are we doing today? Come on.
listen, we Black and proud today, okay? Like proud advocates, activists, all of the above. Listen, Black women have always, like I said in our intro, been in the forefront of social justice movements. Why do you think that is? And how can we in 2025 support each other in these roles, ladies?
Go for it, Tenisha. Go first, and then.
Yeah. I just think us as Black women, like, we are always going to warn everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, we will warn everybody else. Okay. We will tell everybody. We see the handwriting on the wall. We don't keep it a secret, right? We don't gatekeep. And people may not listen to us, but Black women will tell the world. Yeah. So we are always on the front lines because, we're the mothers of humanity, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't just think about ourselves. We think about other people.
Do you think we've given up, though? Do you think we're tired?
I do think we're tired.
2025, we've got to that point where we're kind of tired.
I'm going to speak for the 92%. And you guys know what that is. Yes, we're tired.
We're tired.
Like, we went on a whole campaign prior to these last American political issues, talking about what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, how we had seen this before, how, if you're not careful, this is going to happen to your group. If you're not careful, this is going to happen to you. Did they listen to us?
And that's why I'm saying,
hell no.
Do you get to a point where, or do you think Black women are getting to a point where they have just slowed down in what they now start to?
So, how they say, if you keep bumping your head against the ceiling and keep doing this, at some point you're going to get tired of doing this. Yeah. And I think this is where Black women are right now. I think Black women are tired.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're tired of warning you guys. I think we're tired of being the backbones. I think we're tired of it all. Like, if you study history and you look at things, let's go all the way back to the Suffrage Act. And that's when the American women got the right to vote. What a lot of people don't realize is Black women started that movement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Black women started that movement only for white women to come in, take it over, and then leave us behind.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And I think we're cognizant of that fact. And this is why basically Black women have been saying that, okay, y'all got it. We're resting. And this is why you see all these creators talking about, Black women, we need your help. Well, no, the time is out for that, because what history has shown us is that when we stick our Black necks out, other people
get cut off.
Other people love to take credit. They love to take credit. We're done with that. We like, y'all got it. You got it.
Like, I don't.
Can you say that again? That is exactly what it is. You stick in the cow.
Mm-hmm.
the chopping block comes down, you're
They
finished.
got the guillotine ready for us, okay?
When they tell you to pick
your head up and keep moving. Yeah. Like they literally chop your head off, tell you to pick your head up and keep going. And
I saw something on Threads the other day, and it was saying that like people are, I think that there's this impression like that we need to do something. We need to do something, and we need to be the first ones to stick our necks out.
No, we don't need to do nothing right now. I think right now,
because we are the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of everything.
I think right now, Black women need to focus on Black women.
Yeah.
And and what I mean by that,
as a whole, I think the Black family as a whole, I think Black women do need to focus.
And what I mean by this is we need to focus on our own healing. One of the things you guys often hear me talk about is my move to Vietnam, which is coming up in a few days. Okay. Well, one of the things when people ask me why I'm moving to Vietnam is I'm constantly talking about how even here in America, Black women we can reach a certain level of economics, a certain level of class, a certain level in life, and we're still living in survival mode. So it doesn't matter how much money you make, what your life looks like, you're still in survival mode. And I think that's just a part of being a Black woman and I'm going to say this, in America at this present moment.
Well, even here, as I felt like I've climbed, I actually feel worse and more anxious.
Mm-hmm.
The more I've gone up the ladder, the more anxious I feel. And it's because I think I do a lot of work community-wise.
Yeah.
And when you do work community-wise, like there was a massive thing where I was kind of just working in the background. I was doing it, but I was in the background, and no one really knew who I was or what it was I was doing. And I'm just doing this stuff. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger until obviously people do start to know, oh, it's Lauren that puts the courses on or works in the community or whatever it is. And I'm going about my business, like I said, behind the scenes, not knowing that I was becoming more powerful in what I do in my industry and within my community, for someone to go, hold on, she's getting too much.
Yes.
We've got to bring her down. We've got to slow this down a bit. And what happened, I'm going about my merry way, not even thinking, bam, it came, and they wanted to wipe me out. They wanted literally, and I was not ready for it because I wasn't thinking along the line.
Didn't think that anybody was paying attention to you. You thought that you were slinking through on the back end. But what you forgot was you're so qualified and you're so good at what you do that people can't help but pay attention. And I think that happens to us all the time.
All the time.
I think we go into a situation saying, I'm not going to be in the forefront. I'm going to play the background role.
I didn't want it.
I'm going to do community. And let's be honest, I can say that even right now with this whole Dear Black Woman business.
You're seeing it.
Who the fuck knew? Okay. Let's just keep it all the way above. Lauren, look how much we've grown in the past. We started this podcast in September.
I know.
I am currently overworked, underpaid, overstimulated, overwhelmed.
It's crazy.
I want to quit my job, but I'm the owner. Come on.
I'm telling you.
And
when you're not ready, it really hits you. And you know what? They let you know you are a Black woman trying to do shit you should not be doing.
Yeah.
Or you are in this game and we haven't given you the key to go through that door. So where you going? And that's what I wasn't ready for.
Yeah. I'm also very afraid of my activism and what is going on currently in the United States. And I say that with I keep telling people, I think God sort of knew in advance what he was doing and what he was putting together, because I never would have thought about moving to Vietnam. That wasn't even a choice or option for me in the past. Wasn't something I thought about. But now that everything is happening, me holding these meetings, me talking to Black business women, me being an activist, and an advocate.
You're getting more heat. You're getting more heat. You're getting more, you know.
I get more hate stuff. So like I shield you guys from the comments. You guys don't get to see the comments that come across on our videos. You guys don't get to see, you know, some of the feedback and stuff that I get. But I get a lot of hate. A lot of hate because of what it is that we're doing. We get a lot of feedback from
I think I'd like to know. I think that it's not in a sense of shielding, but I think the good thing is we have to understand that everyone's going to have an opinion.
Yeah.
We have to understand that everyone's going to, you know, view us differently. Remember, this is our points of view. We can only speak on our points of view. I can't sit there and say, oh, I'm speaking on behalf of 4 or 5 million Black women. No, I'm speaking on behalf of me, my experiences. So someone can't hate on an experience that I have. Because that's my experience.
Believe it or Black women say it, but they always do. They always do.
They have no valid point to their hate. What comes across is, oh, shut your Black mouth. Oh, you're a group of Black people. Like, come
what
on.
We say? What are we?
We're a group of Black bitches. So,
on welfare. Don't forget that.
So, you guys don't have anything better to do with your time. I'm like, no, we do. Believe it or not, we're all business owners.
But we haven't. And at that point, I'll say, please, like, you're right. You know, everything. I haven't got anything better to do with my time. I mean, you're
and
always.
You know what? From that perspective, you're right. I don't have anything better to do with my time. This right here is very important. This platform is very important. So no, I don't have it on Thursday mornings. Okay. At 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be on this platform because I don't have anything else better to do.
But, you know, it's funny you're saying about what you're saying, and Tenisha, let me know as well, that when you, to have activism and advocacy, to some degree, you have to have togetherness, and we've never had togetherness.
And that's what I think we should be focusing on as Black women right now. That's why I say we can't focus on, I don't give a fuck about nobody else's plight. I'm sorry. I cannot afford to care anymore. White women, I'm sorry if this offends you, but I don't care whether or not you have a job, okay? I don't care what you got going on in health. There are too many Black women dying with maternal morbidity rates are high, where women are dying having birth. There are too many Black women that lost their jobs recently that we need to be focused on trying to bring our businesses together to help them be employed or help them get on their feet. I don't care about what no man got to say, because Black women need to be healed. We are the bottom of the totem pole in every country, every continent that we stand on, we get mistreated. So at this point, I feel like Black women need to focus on Black women, healing Black women, healing us from our trauma.
The comments in which you talk of are coming from what?
You really want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Black men.
Yeah, they are. Because we have not. Yep. That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, I told you, Lauren, the white men love you, but
that's because they can see the half. But hey, what I'm saying is that this is what I'm saying. We can't ever push forward because we're so disjointed. We will never be able to. And I don't think there's ever going to be a time, because every time we spoke about this whole George Floyd thing, and everyone came together, and, you know, but what I did notice is that when a hell of a lot of white people and people from around the world, period, jumped on it, our Black man thought it was okay. Yeah, we're going to support this, you know. Oh, let me just check. Is it okay if we get on this one? Okay, let's get on this one. Because how many of these have happened before George Floyd?
Yeah, and that's what I was getting ready to say to you. See, this is what people don't pay attention to. There were tons of murders before George Floyd, and there have been tons of murders since then as well. That has not stopped. There's a black man.
What's the difference? What do you think's been the difference, Tenisha? What do you think's been the difference in George Floyd and all these other murders?
I think it just depends. It's like trying to explain a viral movement, right? You really can't really explain it. I think that the footage of it was the timing, right, and the footage of it and what happened. But we had also had like Philando Castile. That was footage of it. You know, we'd had other incidents and things that happened.
I haven't heard of that person.
People also don't like to talk about the number of Black women that are murdered, beaten, and killed by police. Like that's another
blame.
Right.
Another young lady was just shot in her own home for and she had mental health conditions. So there's a lot that is suppressed in the news that you guys don't get.
What I was trying to get at is why I get you said it was timing and the footage. But do you also believe that because other communities jumped on it, our community heightened the amount of power we put behind it?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you this. I think here in America, we had reached a boiling point. We had repeated killings, and it was months, weeks, and you kept hearing about a different Black man being gunned down, a different Black man being killed, and then the footage and seeing, because he wasn't the only one that we saw. The guy up in New York, Eric
Garner.
Yeah, Eric Garner. We got to see him die on camera as well. So this was just another representation of how it had just gone too far. There was outrage over the young lady, and I can't remember her name.
Brianna, is it Brianna?
No, not her. This recently just happened. A young lady was in her home. Someone called the police to do a welfare check on her. And she was talking about a hot boiling pot of water that was on the stove. She went to reach for it, and the police officer shot her and killed her.
But what I'm trying to get at, sorry, I keep going back because
I know what you're saying.
What I'm saying, George Floyd was a global outrage. We literally, that off the back of that, statues were torn down, people were rioting in the roads, and we're not talking about one place, we're talking about if you was in, I don't know if it happened.
Let me say this to you. What I'm saying to you, Lauren, is I think they've suppressed a lot of news coming to you guys because of that. I think the global outrage put a suppression on the amount that you guys get to see, or the fact that you all don't know that this is still going on.
But why that one particular incident?
I don't know, but I think it's also strategy. Because look at Emmett Till.
Yeah,
there were Black people who were lynched, killed before then.
Exactly.
But it was strategy. The civil rights movement at that time knew that this was a 14-year-old boy.
13,
and his mother specifically said she wanted an open casket because she wanted the world to see what they did to her son. So that launched a whole international, that is what kicked off the international civil rights movement.
Yeah.
But then what I'm saying, then why do we stop? What makes us stop?
Because we get what's the word? We get complacent. So we become desensitized to certain things. We become numb to things. We see the world stops, but Americans don't. We fight a fight all day, every day. That's why you guys look to us for a lot of different things. We are fighting still to this day,
every day
for George Floyd. But we also know that there have been many that have happened after him.
That stuff, the scary thing is, I don't know what it's like in France, Tenisha, in France, but in the UK, we tend to get how it doesn't happen often, but it's happening more than it used to. What I'm saying, and maybe that's because we've just got more access, and like you said, there's more footage, there's more things that are happening. Whereas before, back in the day, it'd be like he got put in the local prison, he got arrested, got taken to a local jail, and then he didn't come out because he hurt himself, or you would get those stories, like.
Yeah.
But now, because they've got cameras in the cells, you might see that, police are coming in and battering people, suffocating people. So you've got that whole thing. So it is a different situation now. But what tends to happen a lot now is we always get the paintbrush of the initial story is there was a car chase, or they were reaching to go and get something. There's always that element with it.
They always give the cause versus trying to. They justify the action based on the cause, as opposed to looking at the action as wrong. Another thing that it's so funny that you say that, because here's something that just happened under this new presidential regime here in America. They removed all the strongholds and laws that kept police in place and kept police accountable. So no longer can police be prosecuted for killing anyone.
It's a lot of structural.
What the heck? Listen, if you are a black person, period, in America right now.
Not even a black person. Let me. If you are a person of color, it doesn't matter if you're black, if you're 100%. Asian, if you're Latino,
if you're Mexican, whatever.
It doesn't matter. You are in danger.
You are literally a walking target.
Yeah, you're in danger.
Absolutely.
And then what people fail to realize, and I've said this before, and I need my black people to really understand this. When you see ICE, you think that ICE is coming for the Hispanics or the Latinos. They're not just coming for them. So think about your uncle who is from Haiti, or your aunt who is from the Caribbean, who's been here for over 20 years and doesn't have a green card.
They're trying to
they're deporting her too.
Exactly.
So, and I had to mention this because I have a homeboy whose mom has been here, and she's had 4 kids. So she got birthright citizenship. All of those kids are in their 50s, in their 40s now. But
that's what happened here. That's what happened here with the Windrush.
She is still not a legal citizen, so she is at risk right now.
Yes.
The sad part about this is there were a lot of Haitian refugees that came over here who are just mixed in, and people think they're black, but they're not. They're Haitian. So the reason why I've been telling people to get their passport and to get their passport card and a copy of their passport is because
it's coming. It's coming.
That's the only thing that's going to differentiate and show that you are, in fact, a U.S. citizen. If you do not have a passport and they can't prove that you belong here, they're going to ship you back to where you belong. And the thing of it is, it's just like when we were in slavery, when we had to go around showing our papers. That's what it's going to come to. We're going to have to show our papers. Your birth certificate, your social security card, all of that is going to be non-valid. An immigrant can go get a license here in the United States. So just having a state ID does not make you a legal person here in the United States. So having that passport actually helps you. So I've been trying to warn Black women and Black men, hey, look, get your passports. You think they're just coming after Latinos. They are not. They are, when they go in these schools, when they go in these churches, they're doing broad sweeps. Whether you look it or whether somebody tells you or whatever. If I know you're Haitian and I'm not sure if you got papers or if you're supposed
to for you to prove different.
Yeah, you got to
prove
otherwise. Wow.
They are coming.
They're coming. And that's why I said it doesn't, if you're Asian, okay, and you're here without papers, they're coming.
So guys, can you just give me a bit more context around the 92% movement then? Because I mean, like I'm in the UK, I pick up bits and pieces. Tell me where it started. Tell me.
The 92%. Remember when we had the conversation back in November when we did the show about politics, right? 92% of Black women voted for Kamala.
Right.
So every other race, every other gender, it was like maybe with white women, it was 54%. With Latino women, with white women, it was 48%. With Latino women, I believe it was like 54%. But no matter what, Black women in high rates voted for Kamala because they knew what was going to happen. So when you hear people say, I'm a part of the 92%, that's what That's what they're referencing. What they're
That's what
referencing is that Black women we did our part. We did our part. We warned you before the election. We showed up in droves during the election. And now you guys are now suffering, reaping the benefits of your election. That's what you're doing. And we're no longer we're not going to participate. We're not going to help. We're not doing any of that. Go have your women's marches. Go have all of your marches. Go have all of your protests. We no longer want to be a part of that. What we're going to focus on is Black women healing. And that's literally, that's it.
Because we've never had a Black women specific movement.
Wow.
Right? We've never had it. We've always
joined.
Going back to your point, Cammie, about like the comments you get from some people, right, about the show and about the topics. We've always tended to focus on Black males, Black men, right? Mm-hmm. And so we've never had a specific Black woman.
We've always been the backbone of every movement that has taken place in the United States.
Every single one. And we've been erased in history. The civil rights movement would have not happened
without Black women.
Without Black women. The amount, like Dr. King, the amount of Black women who were supporting him in churches, making sandwiches, they cannot be in the forefront. I'm so right, exactly. So now is the time. Like now is the time that we prioritize.
Like I had to tell somebody, and when we were talking about this, and I say you can't let fear get in the way. You need to go talk to your grandmothers. You need to go talk to your aunts. You need to go talk to your uncles. My uncle even sent out a mass text to all of his nieces saying that, we've been through this before. This is not something new to us. Panic is not the time. We need to think about how to organize and how to get together. And I even said that, having these conversations are okay, but we can't do it online. It cannot be a social media movement. It's actually got to be something like what our grandmothers did back in the day. They met in the back of churches. They met in the back rooms of businesses, and they literally.
I was going to say, do you think we've shifted though to where like we use a lot more of our power and our skills in other ways to be activists and advocates of things we believe in though? So what I'm saying, now we do have technology. Now we have a different way of doing things.
So here in the United States, we learned very soon, and you guys know from the fact that our TikTok got shut down, that we do not have power over our own media and over our own voice anymore. So we cannot utilize certain tools for this. We do have to go old school. Now, there are resources that are available to us now that were not available to us before, but we do have to go old school when it comes to this activism right now and being advocates for ourselves. I can't have these conversations.
No, but remember, the kind of things I'm talking about is, are we changing in which the way we do it, i.e. things like we are placing ourselves in certain positions in business, in the community, in certain places, to now navigate a different form of activism and a different form of advocacy. Do you understand what I mean? Whereas before we were like at home, we were the moms, we were the wives. Now we are placing ourselves in certain parts of, whether we're CEOs or whether we're, leaders in the community, whatever it might be. Are we placing ourselves there to do it in a different format?
I think it's a different way, because history has taught us that, whenever we organize, that there are attacks against that. So you can be on TikTok, you can be on you can be on the certain threads on TikTok, you can be on certain threads on threads itself, right? And you can put out the call, but the organizing has to happen kind of offline. Because we're targets. Every movement. Every single, from the Black Panthers, civil rights, before that.
I feel like sometimes for me, activism and advocacy might look a bit different. So if I place myself in an organization as a CEO, and I'm not necessarily quietly opening the door for other people that look like me, or I want, I'm just saying, if you're letting people through the door, that are similar to you and have similar thoughts and similar traits, and that's just because you've placed yourself in a high place within that organization, or you own that organization, so you can now open the door for others.
So,
is that another form of activism?
Yes,
we're doing that. I think we're doing that.
I think we're doing that, and we've been doing that in droves. I think that goes to something we talked about when you were saying about American women and how we open doors and how we will create lanes where doors have been closed for us, and we make lanes for people behind us. But one of the things we have to remember is we advocate via education as well.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we and when I say we, I mean Black women all over the globe. Yeah, like learning has been our number one version of activism. It always has been. We know that the more you learn, the more you grow, and the more you know, and the more you're capable of doing. So we've gone out here, and you have Black women that have all of these degrees that are building in trades. You even yourself train women in jobs that they would not necessarily have thought about going into, but they're making strides for other women in those areas and in those fields. So I think
just being there sometimes, as a Black woman, allows others to know, okay, I can get there too.
Yeah.
So even if that's the dialogue, it's not activism as, like you said, we were meeting in back of churches, we were meeting in small rooms, we were meeting we were meeting here, we were having secret meetings, but we are networking and we are forming our own strategies in different ways. I know I am. So
we are.
I'm not going to be out and out, saying I'm only going to hire Black women. However, I think within myself and what I do as an organization, I'm always on the lookout for someone who looks like me, and I can see them in me, and they can see themselves in me, and we can have and that's what I want. I want to create that because they can teach me something and I can teach them something, and that's the exchange, and that's how you build a movement. That's
that's where this whole platform came from, if I'm being honest with you. That is what we're doing right now. This Dear Black Woman podcast, the magazine, all of the different charters, the different things that are going on within this brand is just another form of activism and advocacy for Black women. Down to me opening up and allowing other podcasts to be on our network so that we can hear the voices of Black women all over. Me, from all of the things that we do, all of the things that we talk about, all of the beautiful Black women that we bring on to highlight, we're telling their stories, but we're also saying, hey, I'm literally right now, when I get off the phone with you, when we finish this podcast, I am going to be interviewing 1, 2, 3, 4 Black women today in 4 different areas. And they are all created lanes for themselves, open businesses for themselves.
You see what I mean?
So that's another form of activism and advocacy, because they're literally coming on this platform to advocate for other Black women in their field. I got an email this morning because there are not a lot of Black women in clinical research. I interviewed a doctor the other day. She sent me an email this morning and tied me into another Black woman in clinical research. I have a thread going on Threads where I have been looking for Black historians and Black librarians because of me talking to the young lady who's over the Hillman Talk Library and her explaining to me that there wasn't a lot of Black librarians. I'm literally about to write an article on Black librarians and do an entire Zoom call with over 15 Black librarians to talk about the need that we have in that space, especially because we are being erased from history.
Yes. In real time. In real time.
Tanisha,
I just saw something saying going on to the what was it? It was a government website and that has a genealogy and Black American history of our enslaved ancestors. And I literally saw it yesterday. They were like, go on now. Download what you need right now because the site is being scrubbed.
Wow.
get what you need. And I think it's like is it the Library of Congress? I don't remember exactly.
It probably is the Library of Congress, which is crazy because my publishing company is registered with the Library of Congress, and everything that we publish through the Library of Congress is supposed to be a part of American history, and for them to be scrubbing it and taking us out is a problem, especially when I'm working on a book anthology right now that is Black women telling their stories, and I will be filing that anthology with the Library of Congress to be a part of American history. So yes.
It's a concern.
Tenisha, just in France, because I'm trying to get a good idea of what's going on over there as well. Do you think there is any kind of movement when it comes to Black people, or do you think that they're really so disjointed that there's no real group? Because there's still a group in the UK. There are still groups of activists and people who, you know, go hard here in the UK. I don't know if it's the same in France.
I think my viewpoint may be different. I don't see it personally. I think it's more disjointed because, you know, you've got all of the African countries that France colonized. They're all here, right? But it's like the Haitians are here, the, you know, Ivorians are here, the Senegalese are here. Everyone is doing like their own individual thing. I don't think there's like a group effort that I have seen. Now I could be wrong, but I have not necessarily seen that. And remember too, France is the place where they claim they don't have the data. I believe they keep it, but I cannot go to a website and say, oh, well, what is the percentage of Black people who are in Paris? Or what is the percentage of Black people in this neighborhood? It does not exist. They don't, it's not made public.
I think one of our first few podcasts, we were looking for a lot of stats in Europe as a whole. And it was an issue. As a whole in Europe, we could not find, you know,
it's a data collection issue.
It is.
Yeah. And that's when I found out that a lot of you guys' stats and information that you base stuff on
based on the
US. American women, Black American women. So we've known since I want to say the third episode of this podcast that it was very hard to find data on Black European women.
I mean, I was looking, we had a show about politics, I think.
And Lauren was looking it up.
And I was trying to look, I mean, how many like Black women in members of parliament behind me were Black. And it was like literally, as I got to one bit, I had to go through to another bit. I had to go to, it's just a straightforward question. And by the time I actually got to, I think it was something like 6 or 12 Black MPs out of like 200 and something, and you're just like, really?
But see, it's cultural because in France they're often on this. Oh, we're all French, right? I mean, for whatever that means, we're all French. You're all French until something happens. Right? We're all French.
You're Black.
We're all French until something happens. So it's about the data because I know, like, as a Black American woman, I know that Black American women are the most educated in terms of we have the most degrees. We are the most entrepreneurs. Those are verified statistics. But when it comes to other places in Europe, those numbers, those stats are not even collected, or they're told they're.
So like even with Lauren, that wasn't the only one. We were looking for the number of Black entrepreneurs, that female entrepreneurs that were in your area as well, and it was very hard to find those numbers, and you don't even get a clear. Okay, listen. To all my historians, to everybody out there who
please give me some data.
If you can help us collect data on Black European women, that would be great. We would love that information. We would love those statistics because we have been running into firewalls. We have been running into doors, into blocks. We don't get accurate information when it comes to Black European women. I know for a fact that there are a lot of Black European women that are business owners in the UK.
There are loads. I mean,
the reason I know it is because I was
groups.
I posted it. in a group on Facebook, and I got a load of people who responded. But I don't, when I go to do research, when I go to look for answers, when I go to look for things, there's no information and no data out there for us to compare anything to. So a lot of the times when we're talking about stuff on this podcast, we're speaking from a standpoint of Black American women.
Yeah. Because I also think as well, I think there's a lot of, oh God. So I think as well, sometimes we're so dispersed, like we're not collective enough. So some people that are going, you know, like you've got someone maybe doing something over here, like you said, and someone doing something over here, and so we're not together enough. And I think that's our point right across the board through activism, advocacy, business, life, skills. We're just so, you know what I mean? We never come together. And I mean, we do little things like this, but there's not a mass.
I also think that overseas and in Europe, you guys are very disconnected and disjointed from the fact that you, and I don't mean this in a derogatory or negative way, that you're Black. I think a lot of times because we're in America, we don't have all of those different nationalities, or we have to claim that we're Nigerian or we're Caribbean or anything like that. I think in Europe and overseas, that's a lot of the focus is, oh, I'm from Africa, or I'm from Nigeria, or I'm from, you know,
country.
It's a country. It's not a fact that you are in fact Black. Exactly. Whereas here in America, we are Black. It don't matter what country.
Black. That's it.
Period. We still have the one drop rule, right?
Yep.
We still have the one. I mean, we still live and die by the one.
And
drop
it doesn't
rule.
matter. Let me be very clear.
What's the one drop rule, Tenisha? Sorry.
That if you got 1% Black in you, you Black.
Or one drop of Black blood.
They've been doing that too.
Yeah, one drop of Black blood. I mean, this is what happened during.
That's the 92% of global. Then how we do it.
But yeah, I mean, it continues on from that, and the concept of race is very different just in America, right? I mean, race is a social construct, but it's going to be very different, and that's why a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, people in other countries always accuse Americans of being, oh, you guys are so focused on race. We have had to be for our survival. Yeah, we would not still be here if we were not.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, it don't matter where you come from. You can come from the Caribbean. You can come from Dominican Republic, from South America, from Canada, from Africa, from London, from Dubai. If your skin color looks like mine,
yeah, you're gonna get lumped in with us.
In America, it don't matter. You Black,
right? You're gonna get lumped in with us.
You Haitian, oh, you Dominican, oh, you.
And that is the difference, because here it is always about I mean, I don't know. I mean, even on our application forms and any kind of forms, there's about 12 different options. So there's like
now in America,
and that's the difference. So it's like you've got Black British, Black and white British, Black Caribbean British, Black African Caribbean British. You've got every kind of
everything.
Then you've got other, then
So we I think I want to say in the last 20, 30 years, just added on a U.S. census, right? Like if you were other, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, for the number of years, you were either one of three things. You were either Asian, white, or Black, okay? It didn't matter what your nationality was. It didn't matter none of that. You was one of
what if you was Hispanic or something?
You can put Latino origin or not of Latino origin.
And let me say this. You can be white Latino and Black Latino. So they were asking that. So they if you're white, if you're Black, and if you're Asian or Hispanic. But Latino. And then the next one was, are you of Hispanic origin? So
or biracial. Now you can do like the multiracial.
Now they have other. Now they have various, and now they have biracial.
Yeah,
it didn't used to be like that though.
Yeah. So in the UK, they actually label it out.
Here, you're one of you. Either you Black, you either Black, Asian, Hispanic, or white. You ain't you not from you're not Portuguese. You're not Polish. You're not Dutch. You're not none of that. You're not Irish. You white.
I think the only thing they do, so they break down Irish, African, Caribbean, white, other.
No,
Eastern
Yeah,
Europe.
it's very different.
it's
Yeah.
black, white, Hispanic, Asian.
Black, white, yellow, and orange. Get out of here.
There you go.
Because
You
when-
either black,
and
white,
going-
brown, or yellow. That's
and
it.
going back to enslavement, I mean, that's why the Caucasian race was not a race until like what, the 1600s or so,
Mhm.
maybe 1700s, because everybody was, there was no
Well,
need.
They were
You didn't have to have a
Polish, they were
distinction,
German. They were
right?
they were,
There was no need to distinguish you, right? You just were, there was no need to distinguish you. But then it became, because of the history of enslavement, that, oh no, we gotta, this person over here is white.
mhm.
You might be Irish or Portuguese, but okay, you can come on over, right?
No, but I think because of the disparity between whether you were Irish or whether you were white, it actually became a problem, because now they're not only looking at you as white, they're just looking at people as foreign. That's where it became a problem, and that's why they wanted to, I think, devise it up even more.
Oh, but
Because
don't forget
Well-
now. Let's dive back a little bit. The Irish people, although they are white, were treated as if they were black.
that's
So
what I'm saying.
in England, yes, they
In
do.
England, no whites,
Yeah,
no blacks,
It's
no
it's
Irish,
different,
no dogs.
yeah.
but it's
So-
different though. So like an Irish person, an Irish person versus an Irish American. Oh,
Yeah.
those are two totally different people.
Totally
Yeah.
different.
Totally
people.
different. Because guess what? When they came over hundreds of years ago, they were treated badly, but they have immigrated into white society.
Yeah.
So they're no longer
Yes.
they're no longer treated that way.
Yeah.
They white. They white
I mean-
now.
Right, they're white.
I mean,
They're
again,
white.
it's the same here, but like you said, initially it was no whites, no blacks. I mean, sorry, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the history of the United Kingdom is, like you said, is different, right? And the Irish people there are treated, they're like what do they call them? The Black Irish or whatever, right? They're treated not so well.
I spoke with an author the other night who I will be featuring in March. He wrote a book about the comparisons between the American Civil Rights Movement and the North Ireland Civil Rights Movement.
Wow.
Mhm.
And he wrote about how the American Civil Rights Movement sort of sparked this national civil rights movement for even people who were not Black. So his book is talking about how North Ireland and Ireland had to fight for their freedom and fight for rights amongst themselves from Britain. And
Yeah.
you know how they were treated very similarly to the way Black Americans were treated here.
Yes, very true.
Wow.
Very true.
Wow.
So it's
Interesting.
yeah, it's a different classification, right?
Listen, here's the thing. At this point in our lives, and at this point where we are in the world, I cannot reiterate this enough. I think it's just time for us to just focus on healing Black women. Like,
Yes.
I think that when we talk about activism and advocacy, yes, normally this conversation would be looking like, yes, let's fight for these rights, and yes, let's think about this, and let's think about that. But what the world has taught us is nobody cares about us. So even in the fight about reproductive rights here in America, you know, that was focused primarily on white women. Nobody talked about the rates in which Black women were dying, you know, just from having babies, or how how some of the services that were put in place under the Reproductive Act were to protect women from, you know, certain things. And nobody's talking about how this has affected Black women as a whole.
Yeah. No one don't care.
Or how we were sterilized as late as the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, there were
In states
doctors
like North
that
Carolina,
were
Black women were sterilized.
Yep,
Black young girls.
And I don't know if you've heard it, but Robert Kennedy just got on TV and said that Black people don't need to be vaccinated the way that white people need to be vaccinated because we're more immune to certain things. So they've always treated us like we're experiments. Like,
that's what I said. We're guinea pigs. We've been guinea pigs from the get-go in every aspect of it, whether it was experimental, whether it was medical, whether it's you know, in civil rights, whatever it is, whatever movement it is, we are at the front, because go and test it first.
Yes, on them. We are the guinea
Well,
pigs.
that's what they did. That's even what they did with drugs. Let's just be honest, okay?
Oh, yeah.
They came into our communities and they flooded our communities with drugs.
Yep.
They began with the crack epidemic, the heroin epidemic, and then when it spilled over into their communities, that's only when they wanted to have to fight. That's the only time they wanted to do something. Yeah.
And that's when drug use began to be decriminalized too.
Yeah.
And you began to have, like, what is the narcolan, and the messaging began to be different.
Yep.
But I know, as somebody from Detroit, which you know, 80s and 90s, horrible, our community suffered, still are suffering.
They criminalized us.
Any addicts were penalized. They were in jail. They were like, oh, you're a crackhead, go to jail.
But now you got these
about rehabilitation.
White women who turn to heroin in replace of opiates. So now they want to clean up everything. There's a war on opiates. There's a war on drugs. This can't happen. Entire communities, white people communities in rural America, were plagued by drug use. And that is only when they decided that they were going to make changes.
It's the same thing when you've got all our young black boys that are being killed in the UK. Like, it's just, oh, it's sad, but he was doing this or he was doing that or whatever. And now it's no longer a black problem. And you've just got young boys that are just getting into it. They might be white, they might be Chinese, whatever it might be. Now, even some of the more elite and well-to-do families from white families that are, you know, they might have children that have gone astray or go down this route. Now it's a problem.
Have you noticed that when their kids get into these spaces, they adapt some of our worst traits and they put that on for the world. So your children are now taking on the traits and behaviors that we ourselves don't even like. And we're looking at your children and we're like, oh my God, these white kids just don't know how to act. It's no longer a race thing. It's not. It's a generational thing.
I mean, I don't know if you guys over there heard of grime music, which is like, and drill. It's like here in the UK, it's like a British rap, basically. It is a British grime, is like born here in the UK. And what I'm saying, you've got kids from all backgrounds listening to this now. So once you get kids from all backgrounds listening, like you would do hip hop or whatever it is, guess what? They want to be a certain way. They've just decided. Also, if they've come from a suppressed background where they've expected to be a certain way because their parents are wealthy or their parents are high society and they don't want to, guess what? They might be going down. There's something called county lines. Have you heard of it, Cami?
Yes.
County lines. Tanisha, county lines, where young children are taken to traffic drugs across different parts. Now, we're getting posh young children, like posh, well, elite, that are in this thing, county lines. But when it was the kids of the streets, it was fine.
See, the thing about it is you can always use us as an example because, like with the drill music, that's straight out of Chicago, right? Yeah, Chicago. With the
trap music is straight out of Atlanta,
right? and with the county thing, like you mentioned, oh, that's Detroit, okay? Because we literally had gangs, drug gangs, right? Drug empires would take 11, 12-year-old boys because they would not be prosecuted and they were selling drugs. If you've seen the movie New Jack City, that was based on my hometown. Okay. So
but what I'm saying, did it creep into affluent white?
Oh, she not done because she about to tell you how white America it became a part of their culture. See, here's the thing, and I'm just gonna say this: hip hop is to blame for everything. And I hate to say it, and I love it because that's my culture, that's who I am. But hip hop took everything worldwide, and then it made it where white children now look and say, "Oh, I want to be like those black people."
But see, I think the way I think of it is that the hip hop of the 70s and 80s in New York, that particular hip hop was when it was pure and non-commercialized.
Yes.
Hip hop began to be commercialized in the 90s, and that's when suburban kids began buying most of it. The problem is that it became commercialized. So it's blamed, right? Like they always say, oh, you guys listen to that rap and that hip hop. That's gonna be a problem. It wasn't a problem until the record companies got their hands on it and marketed it in a certain way. And then it began to be blamed for everything.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap this up, but I got a couple of more questions that I want to sort of throw out there for you guys. First of all, what is one issue that you feel more people should be paying attention to right now? And where do you think we need to start taking action? We'll start with you, Lauren, especially because you're in, and I'm going to say, let's speak from a perspective of where we are. So
I think we really need to open our eyes to, we always think that it's a massive mystery of what's actually going on when it comes to Black women or Black people in general. But I don't think it is. I think it's there in your face to see. And we just think, oh, it can't be as in our face. We always think. So I think definitely we need to, if someone tells you this is what's happening, understand that's what's happening. Don't try and find, well, how and what. Just take it for what it is, i.e., Black women dying in hospitals in droves. In droves. That's in your face. You cannot turn around and say, yeah, but we got the numbers on it. Do we know why? No, it's happening.
It doesn't matter why. It's happening.
It's happening in droves that you hear about, you don't hear about, you see about, you don't see about. They are treated differently. They are dying, just by going into childbirth.
Yeah. What about you, Tenisha? What do you think we need to be focused on right now?
So I'm here in France. I'm a Black American in France, but going back to Lauren's point, I think that, like, in terms of, we wrote the blueprint has already been written. And I think that different people can look at our experiences as Black Americans. Lauren, you mentioned the Black maternity rate. Like, that's a problem.
Crazy
in America, right?
Let me ask you: Is that a problem? Is that a problem in the UK? And Tenisha, you're in Paris.
Yes. It's not. I don't see. The problem is how the numbers are aggregated here. I don't believe that it's a problem officially, but it's how the numbers are kept. They are not keeping numbers by race. At least they're saying they're not. So you won't ever know it's a problem here officially, because the data isn't being released.
It's a problem here. And on top of it, I have experienced my own journey being a mom, going into doing that, or being in hospital. I've seen it. So I was lucky. I'm here. But how many are not?
Right. Yeah, see, it's definitely a problem here. It is definitely
severe.
It's a severe
problem.
Yeah,
we're talking about even celebrity. Look at
there are
Serena Williams. Serena Williams almost died
having her baby. Yeah,
almost. If it were not for her husband,
this is a strictly a Black woman's problem, and especially here in America. It's not across the board.
I tell you, Cammy, it's here in the UK too.
Yeah, so that's something we definitely need to put on our research list. Is looking into mortality rates, and I'm gonna say this. It's higher in Africa because there are more Black women in Africa, but we need to figure it out. We need to figure out how.
But when it's higher in countries where, as Black people, we are a minority, it's a problem.
Yeah. But our numbers in America, though, mirror less developed countries. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
right?
Our numbers here actually mirror those countries that do not have healthcare the way that our healthcare system is.
Crazy.
So with that being said, we know that's one issue that we need to focus on. Okay, how can Black women create and maintain safe spaces to discuss and mobilize around these important issues?
shows like this one, podcasts, and media organizations like this one, doing things offline and online, right? Like
Yeah,
making the call online, but then getting offline,
getting
because we know
offline.
that Black activists are targeted on social media.
Yes, yes. I
So
am
it's been
putting
very
myself
strategic.
at risk being the founder of this organization, especially because I'm a Black woman from Georgia.
Yep. Being very strategic and careful and quiet. Like it's you need to work quietly.
Like
And I, and I
when I
think
say
also,
I'm walking out the American door on my tippy toes.
and
Like,
I do believe that, I think, it's so, what you said, Cami, is silly things that when we forget to do. We forget to do call outs to people of things that we don't understand or things that we want to know more about. Why are we not finding out about? You've just said, I want to call for Black librarians. I want to, that's another thing we should be doing. Like, we should be actually understanding that. Let's have a meet up. Let's have a coffee. Let's have a this.
listen, and if
But
it's
they
any
are.
Black,
I think there are
if
in
there are
certain
any
circles.
Black librarians that are overseas in the UK, if you're a Black historian, if you're located somewhere outside of the United States, I would like to ask you to please contact me. This information that we're looking for, trying to get the word out, because what I also want to do is encourage other Black people to go into these fields as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you are, because I think in terms of, like, for a lot of Black American organizations and groups, we have these groups of people. We have whole organizations.
Yeah,
But if
we
you're in
do.
other places, you don't, it's not the same.
But again, I'm going to say this. It's because in America,
Yes.
it's not a nationality thing. It's a
Yep.
it's a race thing.
It's the
Black
race
and white. That's
specific.
it. So you got a lot of Black research organizations, a lot of Black
Yes.
doctors associations. You got the
Yes.
African American Athletic Association. You got
Exactly.
all of these different types of organizations that have been put in place because we recognize that we have to stand on our own. But and this is very important, why this platform is the way it is. We've got to start doing this on a global scale. It can't just be, yes, we have to start it in our own countries, on our own continents, but we got to do this on a global scale. There should be a Black Doctors Association across the entire world where Black doctors go to just be with each other, whether they meet.
You also have to remember, Cami, when we talk about this, we talk about it so blasé, but I think there gets to a certain point in certain areas of what we do that get, I would say, capped, but there are always people behind the scenes pulling at a string of that person.
Girl, you ain't got to tell us. We know over here.
So that's what I'm saying. So you're saying we need to come together, like the doctors need to come together. There's, for every doctor that's been put in place, or any politician that's been put in place, or there's someone else who don't look like them behind of them to say, you will not be doing that.
But that's
girl,
why I'm saying
it ain't just the ones that don't look like them. See, over here, the one thing that I've learned about being in America is our enemy ain't always the people outside. Sometimes it's the people inside the house.
This is true.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Same.
So, but we have to make those efforts. Like, for me, getting the word out that there need to be more Black historians, more Black librarians across the globe is very important. I don't think people understand. Those are the people that are in charge of our books. Those are the people that are in charge of our history. Those are the people that are in charge of our education. So if there are not enough of us that are in place to protect our books, to protect our history, to protect our education, then it goes back to the things that we said, where we're wiped off, and we go back to slavery days, where we're telling these stories and these fables about the things that happened in the past, and they're looked at as urban legend as opposed to real history.
Yes, absolutely.
So my next question to you guys is, what are some small everyday ways that someone outside of us, because we're all advocates for our community, that someone in your community that don't consider themselves an activist or an advocate can start getting involved? Like, what are some of the things that you guys have in London, or even what have you researched and found out about in Paris or in France, Tenisha, that would be beneficial for people who are looking to be advocates or looking to just, speak out or have a voice about something that they're passionate about?
I think, advocating for Black people, right? You can advocate. It doesn't matter if you're Black in the UK, if you're Black in America, if you're Black in France, or whatever, French, African, whatever. It's advocating, it's speaking up. When you see injustice, it's also financial support, right? There's a financial component. Okay. There are different organizations, volunteering. If you don't have the money, time, right? It's time, money, and being vocal
and knowledge,
because that's what we need. Like, if you're silent about my oppression, then you are supporting that oppression.
100%. 100%.
What about in London, Lauren? What?
You know what? I just think even small things that, go and seek the information. Like, we don't have a lot of things here, but one thing I did learn, it was weird. I put something in, I can't remember what it was, into like an events portal. I can't remember what I put in. Black tie or something like that. And all these Black things came up in London and the UK, in which you could access that I had no idea of, like a Black slavery tour, or there was loads, and it went on this event, this Black event, not just the clubs, like it was real stuff that was happening that I was like, I had no idea.
Lauren, I need you to help me find a correspondent in London.
I will send you the thing. What I'll do, I'll send you the link. But so it's just things like that. Find out what's going on just by, you can type it in Black events in London, or Black British event, Black British knowledge, or whatever it might be. And it's silly things like that. But also, I think it's important for people to document their own journey as being part of a bigger picture. So always document what you're doing, what you're about, because, years and years ago, they used to do them capsules, didn't they? They used to bury them and people would find them.
I hope you're taking your own advice, because I have asked you for a few things that I have not received yet.
Lauren will be back on another podcast. Lauren will be back on another podcast. Leave me out here. No. You're coming here soon. So when you get here, let's work on some stuff. I'm loving it, Tenisha, when she gets here. She's going to be awful. Oh, I'm not letting her out of that hotel, man. Crazy. Oh, help me, Tenisha, help me. Yeah, I think that the capsule idea, document your own stuff.
I think that is a very good idea. Working on
bury it, didn't they? Used to bury stuff, and people would find it.
You remember when we did that? I did that in grade school, where we stuffed a time capsule with stories and with letters and stuff that we wrote to our future selves, and we buried it. And I want to say when we were in high school, we dug it up and looked at all of that. I was 10 when I got my first poem published. That was
it's important. It's really important. It's important to do things like that.
But that goes back to what we were saying about librarians and historians and just having.
But you can be your own.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. As simple as being your own, you can be your own.
Collect books. Collect Black books that are no longer going to print. Collect items, historical items that you can't find anymore. Collect news articles. I know I'm sitting here going through my stuff, and one of the things that I did not realize I had done was I have a collection of Ebony and Essence magazines.
Yeah, me too.
From years
I've got so many of those, and the hair magazines, and
the hair magazines, all of that stuff. That is all a part of our history.
Of course.
Because they don't even make those hair magazines. You can look at that stuff and see how far we've come in certain industries and in certain areas.
Yeah.
Like, imagine what the hair industry would be like without Black women.
Exactly.
Imagine, like, look at everything that we've had our hand in. Everything that Black women touch turned to gold. And I'm just going to keep it all the way 100. And that's the truth. It doesn't matter. We have our hand in everything, and everything we decide that we're going to invest in, that we're going to put time in, that we're going to actually be a part of turns to gold. The hair industry was revolutionized because of Black women.
Yeah.
The fashion industry has been revolutionized because of Black women. We literally had to make them make clothes that fit our body shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, the plastic surgery industry has been revolutionized because of Black women. Not because Black women are out here getting plastic surgery, even though we are now, but because everybody wants their body to look like a Black woman. Y'all want y'all cheeks to look like mine. Y'all want y'all lips to look like mine. Y'all want my butt. You want my hips. You want my shape. And you damn near want my skin color, okay?
Yes, they do that the tanning, yeah.
So, and I'm starting to notice that Asians want my hair texture. So,
this is it.
Yeah, everything that you hate about us, you have turned into something to make it beautiful. So I appreciate all the hate and all of the stuff that we get, because that lets me know that we're doing something right. Okay. I appreciate you not liking my nose. I appreciate you not liking my lips. I appreciate you not liking my hips and my behind, because guess what? Now you have them. I appreciate it. I appreciate you knocking me for my curly hair, because guess what? Now you out here trying to double up on a perm. Okay. So, like, I appreciate everything about Black women, and I appreciate how we, as being stepped on, having our head cut off, our neck being pressed, they got their foot on our necks, they got their foot on our backs, they got their foot everywhere trying to keep us down. But I appreciate the fight that we fight, to the point that everything about us they are emulating.
Yep.
Everything.
But the one thing they can't emulate is this mind. They can't emulate our education, our need for education, how we thrive off of educating each other, how we thrive off of just getting educated, period. They can't, you can hold us back, but you can't really hold us back.
Right. Exactly.
Because let's be honest, everybody on this right here on here owns a business. Everybody on here owns, and we own businesses that give back to our communities.
But that's what division does, isn't it? That's what putting people down does.
Yeah, everybody and I had to think about it. Lauren, you own a daycare. You also own vocational educational facilities where you're educating women. Tenisha, you are in software and technology. You are teaching women the new age of doing things. And me, I'm just a facilitator of all of it. Like, come on now. And I have to say that I am proud of the way things have been set up. The book, Dear Black Woman, Love Letters to Black Women, all of the things that have come about with this brand has been in order for Black women to see how special they really are. And I'm constantly like, Lauren, how far have we come?
I'm not doing this, Tenisha. I don't know how she managed to ask me to do this. Is like she
Lauren,
told me I'm gonna make $1 million. That's what she said. You're gonna make $1 million, Lauren.
I did not say her that lie, y'all. Don't believe
you did.
No, I told Lauren she was way better than she saw herself to be. The same way that I don't see myself
at $1 million. Come on.
But no, just look at the incredible things that Black women are doing all over the world. And when it comes to activism and advocacy, the only thing I can say is go Black women. Because even from my grandmother, who's 95 years old, to us here today, to even some of these young girls that's out here, we're fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
We understand. We recognize. Let me ask you something. You, both of you ladies, have girl children. Do you recognize your fight and the advocacy in your children?
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a responsibility that, you know, we create better lives for them, right? That things are better in some kind of way, shape, or fashion, that things are better for them.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the goal. Maybe it doesn't have to always be monetarily, right? Maybe it's the fact that, like you mentioned before, Cami, like, okay, Black women are focusing on ourselves, we're resting. They need to see that, because I know I didn't see that, right? My mom didn't see that, my grandmother didn't see that, right? So we're teaching them, and we're showing them, okay, it's nothing wrong with putting Black women first. That's making their lives better.
I love it. Okay, now Lauren, what about you? What do you see in your daughter? Because I know your daughter is she a world changer.
And I think, you know what, you got to remember, I've come from my grandmother who's white, my mother who's mixed, me who's, you know, biracial, what you want to call me, and then my daughter who is Black. And so she is not light, neither she's darker. So I think she's a lot more strong, you know, she's more fire in her. And I just love that she's, you know, she doesn't put up with no shit, and also she realizes that she's not confined to any box. Like, she can get up and go tomorrow, and she's comfortable in her skin enough to get up and go tomorrow, you know. So I like that she's aware she's a Black woman, but it doesn't hinder her from going or doing anything she wants to do. That's the best way I can put it.
I don't think it should hinder any of us. I think we should just. I'm at that stage of life where I just feel like Black women should be out here just enjoying life,
doing what they want to do.
Yeah,
and that's how you build a movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So listen, Black women, this is the end of our show for today. Activism and advocacy. I think we did this show justice today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think, and again, I'm not real certain how our shows seem to be falling in line with everything that's going on. Yeah, and what a lot of you all don't know is most of these shows were pre-planned. No, like I created this list of shows. It's up on the website. You can go look and see it. All of that. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, please go over to our website, dearblackwoman.me. Pull up the tab that says podcast, and go ahead and look at all of the different podcasts that we have coming up. We're looking for guest co-hosts. We're also interviewing and auditioning for a fourth co-host, a permanent co-host. So if you are outside of the United States and you are on any other continent other than London or France, other than London, Britain or France, then we would love to speak with you. I know I've spoken with some of you, and we're going to be bringing some on. Also, if you'd like to have your podcast produced under the Dear Black Woman Media brand, we would love to hear from you as well. We are looking for more male guests, more female guests, more people just to get the word out and to highlight as Black business owners, as women who are doing their thing in business. So I want to say thank you again to my co-hosts, Lauren and Tenisha, for being here today. And that's a wrap, you guys, on today's episode. We hope this conversation inspired you to find your place in activism, whether it's through community work, speaking out, or supporting others in their fight for change. Remember, advocacy comes in many, many forms, and every effort counts. So special thank you again to my co-hosts, Lauren and Tenisha, and to you, our listeners, for being a part of this movement with us. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on social media to keep the conversation going. And until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and keep using your voice for change.